Chase Coburn here for the Student Sports Network and for Chase's Sports News. We saw great games in the round of 64 and the round of 32. Let's move on to recap the West region here in the NCAA March Madness tournament. Florida, the Gators are great. Walton Clayton Jr. is absolutely unbelievable, and they're cruising their way to the Sweet 16, though they didn't do it in very good fashion, if you will, in the round of 32 when they faced a two-time defending champion, UConn Huskies. They cruised by an Oklahoma team that could not hit a shot in that game, a great three-point shooting team where the shots just weren't falling in the round of 32, in the round of 64. UConn moved on. 13 straight games in the NCAA tournament, though it was not enough to beat Florida. They led for most of the game, though 21 missed three-pointers or the separator, and Clayton helped the Gators move on to the Sweet 16. If you want to call it an upset, it was a 12-5 upset. Colorado State taking down Memphis. However, the Rams actually had a higher net rating than the Tigers and were favored in that game. So not many people considered it an upset. Nonetheless, 12th-seeded Colorado State went to the round of 32. Maryland cruised by Grand Canyon, a team that many people wanted to pick in the 13-4 upset. Instead, the Terps showed no problems, kind of continuing in this round of 64. Drake, Missouri was one of the best matchups of the first round. Schematically, it was going to be a game between Missouri, their high-flashing, fast-paced offense between Drake, one of the best defenses in the country. They like to slow things down. They were able to prevail against Mizzou, though weren't able to prevail against Texas Tech, who barely held off UNC Wilmington in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And then the bottom part of the region is where the upsets came. You saw, matchups that fans dream of in terms of coach versus coach. When you saw John Calipari just etch out a win over Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks, and then upset number 2 seeded St. John's, the Red Storms, Rick Pitino benching R.J. Lewis Jr., his All-American, down the stretch after he was 3 for 17 during the game. The Red Storm could not make a three-pointer, 9% from three-point range, and just like that, a Razorbacks team that started SEC play 0-5 are moving on. Meeting them is Texas Tech, and then meeting Florida in the Sweet 16 is Maryland. It was one of the best games of the NCAA tournament. Colorado State led for most of it. They led by as much as 12, though the Terps were just dominant across the board and were able to pick up a win just in the final moments. Derek Queen, future NBA star, said, give me the ball. He got the ball, banked it off, and the Terps are playing the Gators in the Sweet 16. As I look at this region, I think the miracle story comes to an end for Arkansas against Texas Tech. I think Florida beats Maryland. However, the upsets lie here. The Gators, the chump is not going to be as large in the Elite Eight. I like the Red Raiders of Texas Tech to move on to the Final Four as a 3rd seed over Florida after looking at what happened this past weekend in the West region.